It is preparing the live stream now. And I'm going to hit broadcast. So we're going to go live now. And attendees will be able to join.
Hi, it's nice to see everybody.
Hi, Sue. I love your background.
Hi, Sue. How are you?
Fine. How are you?
Good.
I need to figure out how to do a fun background.
This is actually the real sky.
Oh, God, you were outside.
Yes.
That's beautiful. I know we are streaming live, but I'm asking a question. How am I seeing if people want to speak to us at citizen participation? I'm sorry. I should know this.
Well, also for citizen participation, I will be able to see
Yeah.
who raise their hands
Yeah.
and I will unmute them. And that's the time when they will introduce themselves and their time will start.
Okay. Because I don't see any chat functionality here on the side for me to see anything like that, but
Now, there should not be any chat function enabled, but you should be able to see attendees and panelists.
Also, hello, I'm here now. And I figured out Ricky's cool background feature.
oh God, you guys, that's so cool. I want to figure this out on my list of things to do. I did not try to figure out any type of like way to gavel in the meeting, but I think, are we all here now?
I am not seeing Andy Labar.
Andy Labar, has anybody heard from Mr. Labar?
He said that he was all set and he would be here.
Okay, I'll give him another 30 seconds.
Okay.
Jason, are you in the boardroom?
No, it just looks like it.
All right, well, I'm gonna hope that Commissioner Labar will get here and then that's my attempt at gaveling in the meeting. So I'm gonna call this meeting to order. Mr. Pert, could you please call the roll for us, please? Maybe. Edwin, did you hear me ask to call the roll?
All set? Okay. Commissioner Bean?
Here.
Commissioner Braybeck?
Here.
Commissioner Jamnick?
Here.
Commissioner Jefferson?
Here.
Commissioner Labar?
Here.
Commissioner Machieski?
Here.
Commissioner Morgan?
Here.
Commissioner Scott?
Here.
Commissioner Schenk?
Here.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pert. I would like to welcome everybody to this evening's very unusual Ways and Means meeting, hosted by Zoom. And I can see that we have some attendees at the meeting as well. This is a new world for us. Anybody watching at home to keep be sympathetic with glitches that we might have trying to have this meeting, but we sure are happy to see each other, I know, via Zoom right now and do some of the work of our county. At this time, we ask for citizen participation in the meeting. If you'd like to participate, you can use the hand raising icon on the sidebar of Zoom. Our board liaison, Chris Campbell, will unmute you. You can then talk to us for 3 minutes, and we'd ask that you keep it to 3 minutes. Introduce yourself and tell us where you're from. And you might have to, if we were at the county building, we'd have the green, yellow, and red lights. You might just have to keep track of some of this on your own phone or own computer as well. So at this time, do we have any citizen participation? Chris, I'm going to count on you to let me know if I see any, if there's any hands raised over there.
There are none at this time.
I'm just going to give it another couple seconds because sometimes there are technical, like people trying to figure out technically how to do this. I don't want to cut anybody off who feels like they can't get their hand raised. I want to make sure everybody has the ability to participate. We could have waiting room music playing during this time. So I am going to assume, I hope correctly, that there are no citizens who want to participate in the meeting at this time. That's item 2 on our agenda. I will move to item 3 on the agenda, which is follow-up. We don't have to do any of that. Item 4 on the agenda. Maybe somebody would like to move the agenda for me. That would be a commitment. You might have to say it again. Then you can just raise your hand and I'll call on you. Ruth Ann, Commissioner Botanic.
I'll move it.
Thank you.
Support.
Thank you. Michelle, is that okay? Do we need the items read? The item numbers, or is it okay just to move and support that way? Yeah, okay,
Yep.
she's giving me the thumbs up. Okay, all right, thank you. All right, so item 4, let me look here. 4A on the agenda is in new business is human resources. This is to accept the offer for excess insurance coverage for workers' disability comp program. Do I have any questions, comments, or concerns on that, commissioners? Okay, so hearing none, I think that because this is on the Zoom, we need to roll call vote everything. So Mr. Pert, could you please call the roll on 4A for us?
Does anybody know he's muted?
He might.
Commissioner Beaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brayback,
Yes.
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes,
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Machewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes,
Commissioner Schenk.
Yes.
Item passed.
great, thank you very much. The next item on the agenda is 4B. This is an improving an employment agreement with Washtenaw County Corporation Counsel Michelle Billard. Do I have any questions, comments, or concerns on this item, commissioners? Okay, seeing none. Mr. Pert, could you please call the roll for us on this vote? All those voting aye?
Commissioner Brayback,
Yes.
Commissioner Jamnick,
yes,
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Machewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes,
Commissioner Schenk.
Yes.
Item passed.
great, thank you very much. And the next item is 4E2. This is additional COVID-19 relief. This is authorization for the use of up to $3.2 million of our 2019 surplus to assist with our county's response to COVID-19. We did already give funding, but this is a prolonged emergency, so we are finding that we need more funding to help cover us. Any questions, concerns, or comments on this, commissioners? Commissioner Labar?
Thanks, Chair. To our administrator, Greg, I think if we get asked questions about this, this is for those things that pop up that frankly we know right now and we don't know right now. And we're giving you the authorization to do this, given the size of both the challenge and the funding. Is there anything with more specificity you want us to say to constituents or people who ask, just to explain this funding? If not, I'm happy to keep it general, but just want to give you the chance there.
Yeah.
Thanks, Chair.
Yeah. Thank you, Commissioner. I'll respond with a couple of things. So one, if it's okay with you all during my update, I did want to give you just a little bit of an update of what we've been up to since the crisis came to being. And also say to you, all of those major expenditures that will come back to the county commissioners for approval. What I'm hoping to do is to earmark funding for our response, our total response to this. And we will make certain that we provide you with regular routine updates as to how we plan to spend those resources and what impacts we hope to achieve. So if you could give us just a few days, we'll get you something for you all to react to. And I'd love to hear from you all in your respective communities, what you see, what you feel the needs are. This will just make sure that we're super fast in responding to those needs.
Thank you, Administrator Dill. Commissioner Labar, did that wrap up your question? Great. Okay, Commissioner Schenk?
Thank you, Chair. I want to say thank you to my fellow board members, hoping that we will vote to approve this money. I've heard from many constituents, people who live in the community, and also other elected officials, and many people are looking to the county, not just to keep things okay, but to save lives. And so I think it's important that we take this role seriously. Allocating this amount of money might make it harder to do some of the things that we had hoped to do later. We're going to keep trying to find a way to do those things. But for right now, the important thing is to keep people safe. I've heard a lot of great feedback about how people appreciate the work that we're doing. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Schenk. Any other questions, comments, or concerns, commissioners? Okay. Mr. Pert, could you please call the roll for the vote on this, please?
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Maciejewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Miko.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk.
Yes.
Item passed.
Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Pert. The next item is 4C. This is the Washtenaw County Conservation District millage. This would approve 0.02 mills being levied for a period of 6 years, and this would appear on the August 2020 primary ballot. Commissioners, questions, comments, or concerns? Commissioner Braybeck.
Thank you, Chair. I appreciate it. I didn't get to vote on the last item.
Oh, what? Wow, I missed that. Uh-oh.
That's okay.
Did I?
Sorry, Commissioner Brayback.
Yeah,
Commissioner Brayback. Awesome. Sorry.
that's all right. No problem.
See, I said everybody just has to be flexible. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thanks, Edwin.
So going back to the Conservation District, any questions? I was thinking, wow, Commissioner Braybeck is right on it wanting to talk. Anybody have any questions, comments, or concerns on this item that they'd like to share with us? Looking at all your beautiful faces, I don't see any hands raised. So Mr. Pert, oh wait, Commissioner Morgan, you do have a hand raised. Thank you.
I do. I just want, I think I like that we just raise our hands in real life rather than pressing the button.
Yeah. I'm not even looking at the buttons, so good.
I just wanted to just note support for this. We'll have this we're not, this is just going through Ways and Means tonight, but I was sort of torn on this one for a while, just given how many other things may be on the ballot, but it seems like this is an important thing to support the Conservation District and the incredible work that they're doing. It supports our environmental initiatives and support for our rural communities. I know Commissioner Schenk and Maciejewski have talked about this, so I think this is a good thing that we're doing.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. I agree. When we had the Conservation District people come talk to us at various meetings, I felt very compelled by the arguments that they made. So any other questions, comments, or concerns? Okay, Mr. Pert, could you please call the roll and not forget Commissioner Brayback?
Right. Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Maciejewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk,
Yes.
Commissioner Beaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Brayback,
Yes.
Commissioner Jamnick.
yes,
Item passed.
That's great. Thank you very much, everyone. Next item on the agenda then is a report of the county administrator. I believe, Mr. Dill, you have a 2019 preliminary year-end budget report for us at this time.
Yes, so that report is, you should have that report. And I believe that Kelly Belknap and Tina Gavalier are prepared to provide that to you this evening.
Great. Thank you very much, Administrator Dill.
Good evening, Commissioners. 1 second, let me share my screen and we will get this ready.
That's very technical. I'm not sure I could have done what you just did.
Well, wait a minute, don't get ahead of ourselves here. Successful yet. Let me make sure it works. Okay. So the agenda format is the same that it has been in for every quarterly report. So I review the budget adjustments by revenues and expenditures, how the general fund year-end status is, remind the board of the structural and non-structural investments, and then the non-general fund statuses, and then general fund budget summary, the quadrennial budget, as well as summarize next steps for the remainder of the year. So shifting on over to, there was 3 board authorized budget adjustments to the 2019 budget. So this is just a reminder slide. The first one, May 15th, was a net zero budget adjustment, just recategorizing public defender from an operating org in the general fund to a transfer out. The grant, the MIDC grant requires it to be revenues and expenditures tracked in their own fund. Then on June 5th, there was a structural budget adjustment that increased the budget by the property tax increase, as well as made some structural and non-structural allocations, but put a majority of the dollars of the property tax increase into the undesignated allocation because we knew that we had a CMH deficit that had to be addressed. And then the final budget adjustment approved by the board was August 7th, and that was just a structural budget adjustment for public safety portion increase of property tax revenues, and then a non-structural budget adjustment that was for the personal property tax revenue that was received in May that was really from 2018. To highlight your general fund revenue surpluses, the clerk register of deeds surplus was in the amount of approximately $617,000 due to real estate transfer tax and recording fee receipts. 2019 revenues were about $200,000 more than the prior year. So just kind of give you an idea of the trending. Intergovernmental revenues surplus of approximately $512,000 due to state revenues for personal property tax reimbursement and revenue sharing in county incentive program, and partially offset by a shortfall in state liquor tax payments and local animal control reimbursement. Interest revenue and transfers in net surplus of $334,000 due to investment earnings offset by a shortfall in transfers in as a result of no property foreclosure transfer. For taxes, surplus of approximately 178,000 due to property tax collections, payment in lieu of taxes, and unpaid personal property taxes and trailer fees. The prosecuting attorney had a surplus of approximately 152,000, and this is due to state reimbursements for victim rights activities that was partially offset by no federal reimbursements. So this is new grant dollars that has been specifically for activities for victim rights activities and processing of old cases. And we shall also get an amount in 2020 as well as 2021. Shifting over to general fund revenue shortfalls, net sheriff's office net shortfall of approximately 465,000. This was in alignment with what was reported during the third quarter update. It was due to the sheriff's services revenue for contracted road patrol services and nominal civil program revenues. Trial court and district court had nominal revenue shortfalls each, but they had expenditure surpluses that exceed their revenue shortfalls. So I'll revisit this on the expenditure side, but we do try, because of the lump sum budget agreements with the courts, kind of give you the net impact. So trial court had a net surplus of 201,000 when you net their revenues and their expenditure. So the revenue shortfall to their expenditure surplus. And then district court had a $212,000 net surplus. For a net surplus of about 169,000. To give you a snapshot of all the revenue highlights that I spoke to on the previous two slides and the amounts that go with each one. When netting the general fund surpluses with the general fund revenue shortfalls, the total net revenue surplus is just under 1.4 million. Shifting over to expenditures. So when you omit district court and trial court, all other departments combined had a net budget surplus of $1.6 million. And this was primarily due within personnel services category due to attrition and vacancies. And there was a nominal departmental operational savings, which also here is included for the sheriff's office. They had a nominal budget expenditure surplus of about $7,400 for 2019. Appropriations and reserves surplus of 1.6 million due to less transfers to non-general fund programs that were planned in the budget. For instance, child care fund had less public safety millage transfers because it's based on actual collections, and then less cooperative reimbursement programs for front of the court. And then the small amount for unearmarked reserves. Central charges surplus of 2.4 million. And this is due to the undesignated allocation that was mentioned on the budget adjustment page because of the future investment to be determined once the CMH deficit is resolved, and then lower than budgeted tax refund payments. Revisiting district court had a surplus of 212,000 due to attrition, vacancies, and leaves. As mentioned previously, their expenditure surplus offset their revenue shortfall and exceeded it by 169,000. Trial court surplus of 201,000 due to attrition and vacancies. As mentioned previously as well, the expenditure surplus offsets all of their revenue shortfall and exceeds it by about 31,000. Shifting to the summary slide, when you net the expenditure surplus of almost $6 million, just under, of which 4.1 million was planned. Recall that 2.1 million of the 2019 surplus on the expenditure side was planned to resolve CMH's 2019 year-end deficit. An additional almost 2.1 million was planned to address CMH's fiscal 2020 year-end deficit. The net surplus of approximately 1.9, of which 250 had already been formally authorized, and additional amounts if needed for the COVID response, which you also approved a resolution this evening. So when you net, this slide displays the year-end status category count. So total revenues exceed total expenditures. Assuming that the entire surplus is used to cover CMH's 2019 and 2020 over expenditures, and the remaining amount as approved tonight for the COVID expenditures, fund balance will be approximately 31,000, the same as year-end 2017 and 2018. Always provide the board with what has been reported each quarter and for year end. So through the fourth quarter, revenues exceed total expenditures. Year end ended up potentially being better than planned. Always like to keep in the forefront of the board's minds just the policy around structural and non-structural investments, as we'll be getting our equalization report at the next meeting. So any structural investments are usually made by the third quarter, once we know more of how the year will end, as well as we have some uncertainty this year with regard to the COVID response. And then any non-structural annual surplus exceeding final planned contribution to fund balance for year end is usually sometime in April and May allocated, but we have already allocated for the most part the year-end 2019 surplus for CMH as well as the COVID response. Displayed now is the quadrennial budget. The 2020 through 2023 budgets are balanced, and there is no planned contribution to fund balance, and there are budgeted and will be budgeted use of fund balance. Right now the balance is 1.1 million, but with the CMH deficit elimination plan that will come before the first meeting in May, that will also allocate the additional surplus for CMH, as well as what you have already approved this evening. The non-general fund statuses, with the exception of CMH, all non-general funds are under budget with surpluses or using fund balance. The ones that have reference for use of fund balance, they have fund balance to cover the budget overages and were planned for facilities and health. CMH, we know about their year end, and again, in the first meeting in May, you will get the deficit elimination plan when the formal audit is also presented to you for receiving and accepting. Always like to keep an item of revenues and expenses that we continue to monitor. April 22nd, we'll receive the equalization report for 2020. We always keep an eye on clerk register of deeds revenues, court revenues, caseload and legislation impact, and then personal property tax reform and revenue elimination. Expenditure items to monitor, always concerned around capital infrastructure and space allocations, childcare expenditures, health and human service funding considerations, and then union contract obligations and fringe benefit trends. And then finally, what's planned over the remainder of the year for financial reports and information, as well as the next reaffirmation for the quadrennial budget in the fall. Any questions?
Can't see everybody all at once. I'm scrolling to see if I see any hands. Oh, Commissioner LeBar, thank you.
Sure. Hey, Tina, forgive me. This sounds like actually pretty good news on the budget front. I just want to make sure that, as sometimes happen, I'm not misunderstanding something. Is Am I right in reading it that way?
Yes, it is good news. We're ending the year in a surplus, more than what we had planned. But we also, a little bit more than what is planned, but we also knew we had to take care of some things such as CMH and now COVID. So yes.
Your last point, well said. Obviously, that there are many challenges ahead, but this is good news. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Labarre. Tina, can you end the screen sharing so we can see everybody? again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm
That's
sorry about
okay.
that.
Yeah, no
Okay.
worries. That's why it makes it. Okay, I see Commissioner Morgan now. Commissioner Morgan.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Just to add to Commissioner Labarre's question, these numbers, I just want to add clarity. These numbers are looking at what happened last year and what's happened in the first quarter. This doesn't speak at all to what we're expecting for this upcoming year, does it?
No, this is strictly for 12/31/19. It hasn't even, I didn't give any financial report information on the first quarter as of yet. That will come at the end of May, early June.
Great. I just wanted to be sure I was being a thorough Debbie Downer in saying that this does not reflect. So, well, really for folks in the community to not think, great, everything's perfect, even though there's a pandemic. I assume we will have, I know for a fact that we will have a much different picture looking ahead.
I expect so too.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Chair.
Commissioner Morgan. Yeah, I agree. I was looking at the slide where it talked about departments that are using fund balance, particularly OCD and public health, and thinking their fund balance is definitely not going to be enough to help them out this year with everything happening with COVID. I think we're going to see the ripples of this into every aspect of our budget and our county work, not just in 2020, but beyond. And so I am pleased that we ended 2019 in such a good place. I know not all county governments are as fortunate and overseen with such scrutiny as ours. So that's great. Any other commissioners, would you like to comment or question here? Administrator Dill, thank you, Tina. It was very well done and really good and nice seamless screen sharing too. That was great. Thank you very much for all your hard work. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thanks, Tina.
Administrator Dill, anything else you'd like to add in your administrator report here?
Yes, Chair, if the board will indulge me, I'd like just to take a couple of minutes to walk you through some of our responses to the COVID-19 to date. And I always begin those discussions by thanking the 9 of you. You all know that you authorized the work, and we couldn't do any of this without you. Our response wouldn't be nearly as strong without your leadership. So I want to start by thanking you for that. And as you know, I've talked to many of you about our response. We want to make sure that the best science is driving what we're doing here. We're taking a lead from our public health officer, as we should, and wanting to make sure that our community has the very best response. Our federal and state government have issued executive orders, and we're trying to make sure that we stay in alignment with all of those factors. I do want to share a couple of data points. One, we've talked a lot about sheltering, isolation, and quarantine, and how that will help flatten the curve, if you will. So far, we have about $1 million worth of planned expenditures in that area. Doesn't mean that we're going to spend all of those dollars, but there's about $1 million worth of planning that we've talked about, and we'll make certain that we provide you with an update on that particular item as we move forward. Personal protection equipment. I want to thank many of you on this call. Not only have you talked to me about opportunities to increase our response in those areas, but also where those items need to go in our community. And that's been super helpful. To date, we've spent over $200,000 in that area. We continue to, as soon as we procure those items, we try to make sure that we get them out to the community in the most effective way. So as you move through the community, certainly commissioners, if there are opportunities for us to get resources out in a more efficient way, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. There's another category that I don't have a data point on this evening, But as we move through this crisis, we'll likely be able to put a fine point on, and those are just a category that I've been thinking about, other resources for the community. It's certainly just a catch-all for those activities that we really don't have a budget for, that the resources that you all have allocated prior to tonight's meeting and through tonight's meeting will be very, very helpful for us. So thank you so much for that. And then lastly, to our first responders, I know a few of them are likely listening in, talking about the Public Health Office, Community Mental Health, Washtenaw County Sheriff's Office, and OCED. You all know they're on the ground level of this work and just doing a fine job. And I want to make sure that I highlight that today. In terms of our operation, we want to make sure that we continue to drive our mission. We in county government are responsible for the most vulnerable in our community. We are the safety net, and as much as possible, we want to make sure that our operation continues as planned. We have moved in most areas to virtual county government. That's created some challenges. I want to thank our IT group for making not only this meeting this evening possible, but the delivery of governmental services has happened primarily virtually, and that's a huge testament to the work that they're doing. Our relationships with our local units of government and community partners is stronger than ever. They have stepped up to the plate. I know you all have had many conversations with them. It's just heartwarming to see how we're all pulling together to make sure that our response is appropriate. And then the other thing, I just want to highlight Kelly and Tina, because they have been the conduit for reimbursement from the federal and state level. There are FEMA dollars, other dollars that we want to make sure that we receive the appropriate reimbursement for. I've heard that in some of those critical categories, we will receive 75 cents on the dollar. So there will be a long-term impact, to our budget. So we need to be prepared for that. In terms of resources to the community, there were a couple of documents that I forwarded to the commissioners this evening. I want to highlight the work of Teresa Gelati and OCED. They, again, are on the ground level of a lot of items like food distribution. We have a few community partners that I'd like to give a shout out to this evening, and apologize to those. I don't have enough time to go to highlight everyone, but Food Gatherers and Jewish Family Services have really stepped up and provided a seamless transition. We haven't seen as much of a fallout from in terms of food distribution because of those two partners. AAA1B, there's been $60,000 that have moved through that organization, and much of that's earmarked for senior emergency meals. So we're really trying to do our part to make sure that food distribution happens in a seamless way. Moving on to housing, Barrier Busters, that's a partnership with the County Ann Arbor Community Foundation and the United Way, just trying to provide emergency assistance and eviction prevention. And again, those partnerships, that work doesn't happen in the very best way without those partnerships. There's been a lot of positive press around the Small Business Resiliency Fund. That was seeded by your dollars, so thank you again there. The Ann Arbor Community Foundation, Bank of Ann Arbor, the Ralph Wilson Foundation, and you all know about the generous gift that the Song Foundation provided. Spark and the Ann Arbor Chamber have all stepped up in a major way. Our small businesses are really challenged during this time, so it was really, really important for that work to continue. And then finally, for us in administration, in addition to making sure that resources move in the most effective way, we have begun discussions about what I will describe as our new normal. We all know that there's a lot of trauma happening in our community, and much of what's happening right now will send us over the edge in a number of different categories. I just talked about small businesses. Many of them are on the brink, and if this lasts much longer, that'll be a crisis for us economically. And to the residents of the community, I'm in daily communications with many of the commissioners about what's going on in their respective zip codes. Our challenge, our ability to make sure that we minimize trauma in the community is huge. I think that's one of our primary responsibilities. So I just want to say thank you to everybody for continuing to do that work. And thank you to my team for the work that they're doing. I suspect also that when we return, our new normal will include a backlog of work. We've had a number of great conversations with the trial court and the district court, the unified court. They're super supportive, and I want to thank the chief judge for her work around that. And then also caseloads. That's something that, not only our first responders are focused on, but I suspect that when we return, our caseloads will be exponentially greater. So all of those things are part of our thought process as we move forward. And just wanted to say a heartfelt thank you to all of you for what you do. And lastly, to the 1,400 employees of this organization. I think we're all trying to band together to make sure that our response is the most appropriate and the most effective. Our county is fortunate in many ways, and I see that on a daily basis through the calls, the emails, the service that we're providing on a daily basis. So I just wanted to say thank you to all of you, the 9 commissioners. Again, you guys authorize this work. We can't do it without you. But that's just a little bit about what we're doing. If there are specific questions after the call or as we move throughout the coming weeks and months, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. We'll do what we can to make sure that your questions get answered. And with that, I will end my report this evening, and certainly will take any questions that you have either this evening or offline and again into the coming weeks.
Thank you, Administrator Dill. Commissioners, do any of you have any questions for Administrator Dill right now? Great,
Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to really commend you and everybody at the county for the work that you are doing. It's unprecedented times and things change, as we all know, moment to moment. And I think that our response has been nimble and has been tried to have caring for our community at the forefront. I know that it's not going to get easier for some time. I think that in Washtenaw County, we aren't going to see the peak that they're looking for in the Metro Detroit counties. I think we have a little bit more time here in Washtenaw County before we see a peak. And I appreciate all the work that you're doing. I think that we have more work to do. That this week, from the report that came out from public health that showed a lot of disparity in zip code and people who are getting COVID, what that illustrates to us is inequity in our county that is still ever present. And we definitely have a lot of work to do to address that, to make things more equitable and fair, because nobody should be more at risk of getting a deadly virus because of zip code, along with, many other things too. All this just goes back to say thank you to everybody in the administration and all of the groups that you mentioned and our whole community for trying to work together on this.
Thank you.
Thanks. Next item on the agenda is report of the chair. Commissioner Morgan, do you have anything to share with us this evening?
I do. I'll be a bit brief here just because I know everybody's been kept pretty up to date through Greg's updates. A lot of us have had calls and emails and conversations with each of our communities. I know certainly Commissioner Jefferson and I have been on, and Commissioner Schenk, a few on the east side, and some of us have been talking about broadband. We're working on a whole lot of things. I did want to just share one update that I don't know if we've fully communicated to everybody yet, but there has been a request from a number of folks to expand the outreach that we're doing directly to individuals. And so we've asked the EOC to look at sending an emergency alert once the new stay-at-home order is extended. So that would not just go through Nixle, but would go through everybody's individual phone. It's that really obnoxious sound when your phone gets an emergency alert. You don't necessarily have a choice in whether you get it or not. It goes to everybody's phone. And that way we can really, really emphasize staying at home. I had a conversation with Dave Holtzman today about timing that. If the state sends something out when they extend the order, great. Then they'll send something to everybody. what we've also looked at is, should we add an additional local Washtenaw County message to that if the state does do that? And we think that would be useful to really hit hard how important it is for people to follow those orders. So that's the biggest effort. We're just trying to be responsive to everybody's needs. And thank you all. I think Greg and I have had a whole lot of conversations, as I'm sure a lot of you have with him as well. But the biggest thing is just how well we're all working together. And so I'm so glad that we're continuing to do that. I think it's a testament to our board and our staff and everybody, just how well we're all working together. So thank you for that. And thanks for everything. That concludes my report, Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Morgan. The next item on the agenda is the report of the Ways and Means Chair. I have no report for you this evening. Next item on the agenda is current and future items for discussion. Does anybody have any current and future items for discussion they'd like to bring up? Commissioner Jefferson?
Yes, I do. How are you doing? Thank you, Chair. I guess the thing that I was going to discuss was mostly when you talk about the African-American community who is suffering from more cases in the county, not only in the county, but in the state and across this nation. The message has to be more specific and more deliberate that we are sending to them. So I've been talking with Public Health Director Jimena and Administrator Deal, so that they can know how to reframe that message. When it was first sent out as a post from the Health Department, it received a ripple effect that was pretty interesting to me. I didn't realize it would happen like that. But then as I looked closer into how people were disturbed by it, I understood that it just needed to have some type of deliberate points that is more specific. And so what we're trying to do now is we're trying to talk to more people in the community that are leaders, church leaders or community leaders, to do videos that will present our case on how much they are hoping that each one of our citizens can stay safe by staying home so that they can save lives. So it's more of a community message coming from community leaders that is more trusted. As you know, it's a hard time for people to trust the government, and also it's a hard time to defend rumors that are out there about the African-American community having a resistance to it. No, this is a non-discriminatory type of virus. It will touch anyone that it touches and make them sick. So we are trying to redo that message so that it's more community friendly. And I appreciate the work that Jimena and Administrator Deal, I keep wanting to call him Commissioner, but anyway, I had a lot of conversations with him. So I appreciate the work that they're doing and how they are putting this together. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Jefferson. Thank you very much. Any other current or future items for discussion? Okay, next item on the agenda is pending items, and I do not believe we have any pending items at this time. And the final item on our agenda is a motion to adjourn. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Do I have a second? Who's the support? Support Jefferson. So Labar and Jefferson, I think, is what I had there. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All those opposed? Okay, none opposed. We're adjourning the Ways and Means meeting, and I don't know, Commissioner Morgan, it seems like it might be easiest just to go right into board. But I'm not your boss, so.
Yes, I would like to just go right into the board meeting.
Okay, great. Okay.
I don't think we need any extra setup here, so I think we can just, I call this April 8th Washtenaw County Board of Commissioners meeting to order. I don't have a gavel, so I'll just smack on the table.
I use the table.
So I'll call us to order. Edwin, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Beaman,
Here.
Commissioner Brayback,
Here.
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes, here.
Commissioner Labar,
Here.
Commissioner Machieski,
Here.
Commissioner Morgan,
Here.
Commissioner Scott,
Here.
Commissioner Schenk, Commissioner Schenk?
Muted.
Sorry about that. I
No
think
worries.
it wasn't muted when the dog was barking, but anyway, I'm here.
Awesome.
Okay, is that everybody? Did we miss anyone? Okay. The first up, Pledge of Allegiance. I guess we'll start that. Oh, here we go. Oh yeah, fancy. All right. I pledge allegiance
Allegiance
Just
to the flag
of
of
the
the
United
United States of
America,
America,
to the
and
republic
to
to
the
the republic
republic
for
for which
which
it
it
stands,
stands,
one
one
nation,
nation,
under God,
God,
indivisible,
indivisible,
with liberty,
liberty,
justice
justice
for all.
That's exciting. Thank you. First up, citizen participation. I'll just reiterate the guidelines for citizen participation. If you click the raise the hand feature in the lower right-hand corner of the screen, I think that's how it's working, then we can call on you. So if anybody would like to participate in the meeting, then press that raise hand button.
First up is Joanne McCullum.
Yes. Can everyone hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, I'm Joanne McCullum. I live in Washtenaw County in Ypsilanti Township. And I just want to say thank you to the Washtenaw County Commissioners for helping on the east side where I live. They came right away to help when we had the data come out about the COVID-19, how it was disproportionate towards African Americans. And so they helped a lot with getting messages out. They helped working with the health department. And so I just want to thank the commissioners for helping and doing so in such a quick manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. Chris, are there any other raised hands?
There's one, just a moment. Next up is Barb Byers.
You guys hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. My name is Barb Byers. I live in Ann Arbor in Scioto Township. And I'm one of the people who submitted my interest in the Washtenaw Community Mental Health Board position. I just wanted to introduce myself and say hi. I'm the mother of 2 adult boys on the autism spectrum, and one of them also has intellectual disabilities. And so we're consumers for the CMH services. I just wanted to say I'm really interested in this position. I feel like we don't have a lot of representation on the board on the developmental disability side, and I would be a very strong advocate for that. It seems like most of the consumers we have are mainly related to the mental health side. I'm a parent. I've been in lockdown now with everybody else with my 2 boys. Live it every day. So I feel like I'd be a very strong advocate. I have a lot of direct experience. Been advocating for my 2 guys for 20 years now, between education and medical and mental health issues. And again, I just think we could have a stronger consumer focus on the board. And I also am a CPA. I have an MBA in finance. So I have a pretty strong financial background. I understand the budgetary issues and a lot of the financial constraints we're working under. At the same time, I feel like we really have to watch and that we have to keep advocating for the consumers that have the most needs and are the most vulnerable. And that's all I just wanted to say. And thank you for your consideration and listening.
Thank you, Barb. Chris, I believe next up we have Michael White.
Are you able to hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Outstanding. All right, so I was on the call earlier with our Congresswoman, and which was a very robust call, and there were lots of individuals calling in. My statement is this: the 48197 and 48198 zip codes are being affected adversely. One, by COVID, and two, by the current packages that are being sent home for those individuals to learn, but don't have access to internet. So we have two challenges. It's like a double whammy that's being hit on those specific zip codes. I just wanted to know, what are we doing, or what can we help do? What can we help do to, one, facilitate information, as Commissioner Jefferson already said, to get that information out to those zip codes, and also to help with the overwhelming dynamics that we currently have with individuals not being able to properly be given the tools and resources to be able to learn effectively, because their parents have to work 1 and 2 jobs that are in the lower income area. So what can we do to help you, or what can we do to help these communities to further the resources? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Michael. And we can respond after all the public comment, then we can respond during the commissioner response period. Are there any other citizens who'd like to participate? Okay, seeing none, then we can move to commissioner follow-up to citizen participation. Are there commissioners who would like to follow up or respond? Commissioner Jefferson?
Yes, thank you, Chair. As far as getting more communication out to our community, we are working with the health department and with our racial equity officer, aligning what she believes is the most important way to discuss and address those issues that you're talking with. Now, as far as the school and the children not having the internet equipment to work with, that's one of the things that's also on our radar when it comes to us finding out what are the basic needs that the persons in 48197, 198 are making them vulnerable in this time, whether it's vulnerable to have to be infected with COVID, or whether it's vulnerable with economic challenges like food, clothing, shelter. So we can also look at the way that the children need to have their educational equipment updated. Somehow we can look at all those things and see what we can do to help, because that's one of the things that we've been discussing. So thanks, Michael, for that. And Joanne, thank you for chiming in. We definitely have a good mix of leadership in Eastern County, and you've been one of those that has been on the case for years now, and continue to advocate and continue to do the good work that you do in West Willow. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Commissioner Maciejewski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to thank our buyers for joining the meeting tonight and for applying for the CMH board as well. I echo her thoughts on the intellectual and developmental disability community, the need for representation of them on the CMH board. So I just wanted to thank her for her time this evening and applying. Thank you.
Commissioner Schenk.
Thank you, Chair. My district comprises part of the 2 zip codes that are being most adversely affected by COVID-19. And I have been working with particularly Brenda McKinney of Superior Township, trying to ascertain needs and see what we can do to direct people to organizations that can fulfill those needs, or see if the county can help out. And so far, we're seeing a response. We're able to fulfill some of those needs. And, you know, there are things that normally would be no big deal, but in this time, they are a big deal. And I'm hoping that that can start to make a difference. I'm very concerned about the situation. And I appreciate the support we're getting now.
Great. Are there other
Thank you.
commissioners?
Thank
Who'd
you.
like to follow up? I'll just add a couple of, oh, Commissioner Beaman.
Thank you, Chair. I just also wanted to respond to the issue around internet because we're seeing it on both the east side and the west side, specifically southwest side. So we're looking at area codes 48158, 48176, 48118, where they also don't have access to broadband and internet services. And while we're not seeing that disparity on the health side, we still can't fail our children. And so I know we're working together to try and come up with solutions and involve other levels of government, state, and federal, to find an answer to deliver to all children in Washtenaw County, whether they be from the east side or the west side, so that they can fulfill their dreams and receive an education.
Thank you. And yeah, to add, so I had a couple of points there. One, Commissioners Beaman and Maciejewski, as I mentioned a little bit ago, we've been working on Wi-Fi or broadband internet and really ramping up those efforts. Fortunately for us as a board, we did invest in this as a priority last year. So I know the broadband subcommittee and you all have been working really hard to gather that data. We've been working over the last week here to figure out what would need to be in federal legislation to support broadband expansion in the county. And I think that we have a call, what is today? The days are flying by. Tomorrow afternoon, we have another call with the broadband subcommittee. We will work directly with Congresswoman Dingell's office and the other congressional members in Southeast Michigan here to make sure that if there's legislation that comes next, which we expect there will be, that we make sure that broadband internet is included in there as a huge priority, and that things are written hopefully in a way that we can access for Washtenaw County. The challenge we had last time funding was available for broadband is that we didn't have the data and we weren't ready to apply. We're absolutely going to make sure that we don't run into any barriers this time, and working directly with Congresswoman Dingell to make sure that that works out for us. Because I think as Michael White mentioned, it is a significant challenge of affordability and access on both sides of the county. And that's huge for us, especially now, given the dire need, of course, for students, but also for families and for businesses. It's critical for everybody to have access to broadband internet. If you look at how much data one of these calls like this uses, just simply having access to us as a public meeting uses a lot of data. And I know a lot of folks in the west side and the east side have challenges with that. So we are working on it, and I appreciate Commissioners Maciejewski and Beaman. I know Commissioner Shink's been involved in that conversation to help figure that out. I think that's one of our most significant challenges with this. And certainly thank you to Joanne and Commissioner Jefferson for working incredibly hard to address the challenge on the east side with the number of cases and the disparity that we're facing there. I mean, it's huge. So a lot of work is being done there to get that message out. Earlier I mentioned, I think Michael, you mentioned how do we get more information out to people. I would mention one earlier we talked about in this call, we're going to look at sending a direct alert to everybody's cell phone. So anyone who has a cell phone will get an alert hopefully in the next few days here, reminding them of the stay-at-home order and some other things that they can do. And I know Ricky has been working very hard on some more outreach, and whether it's videos or whatever to directly touch people. And then the other thing I would say is help us out. We're all in this together. We all have, if you know people who are not getting the messages from the county, please connect them with, of course, Ricky or any of us or Ruth Ann or any of us to get that information to them, or just directly share that information with them yourself. Please, wherever you can share the information that people need to have, please share that, because it's going to take everybody working together. In our calls with some of the local units of government this last week, we really emphasized that message too. Anybody can help us to get that message out there and to make sure that people are staying safe. But we need everybody's help to do it. I know our county staff, I know Greg and his team and public health, they are working around the clock. But I don't think we'll ever hit a point where we've done everything that we can on this. We're trying, but there's always more that we can be doing. So Michael and others, I know Joanne's been extremely helpful. Wherever you can get that word out, please help us do that. The last thing I want to mention is to Barb. Commissioner Machieski and I spoke about this on the call today. We don't have an appointment for a secondary consumer open right now, but you are a fantastic person that we should certainly try and get on the CMH board at some point. But I just want to be very transparent in that, unfortunately, you won't be one of the ones that I recommend for appointment tonight, because we have one reappointment that we think we need to reappoint from the general public, and then another gentleman who from the finance committee that we're appointing to the full board. And so then the only other spot would have been the primary consumer, which you don't qualify for. So please follow up with Commissioner Machieski and I think you would be a fantastic candidate for this. It does sound like there's a real need for the population that you're talking about to have better representation on the CMH board. But I just wanted to be able to share that information while I had the chance here. All right, that was all I had to say. Are there other commissioners who have comments they'd like to make? Okay, I will keep us moving then. Next up, we have liaison reports. Are there any liaison reports today? Commissioner Schenk.
Thank you, Chair. I, despite some technical difficulties, heard most of the Road Commission meeting yesterday, and it is my understanding that the Road Commission continues to do all the things that they would normally be doing, but just they're staying 6 feet apart from each other and taking extra precautions to stay safe. And I know I've seen some of the Road Commission trucks out when I've been out exercising. And so that's the report.
Are there others who have any liaison reports? Commissioner Machieski.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Area Agency on Aging 1B did hold a virtual board meeting about 10 days ago. And I would encourage anybody that has information about adults age 16 over who might have a food need, a nutritional need, maybe people that were formerly participating in congregate programs that are unable to do that now because those buildings are closed, to please encourage them to contact their senior center or Area Agency on Aging 1B. As Administrator Dill had mentioned earlier, there have been funds that have come down through the second and third federal stimulus acts, specifically for meals programs. And if there's a need out there, we need to make sure it is communicated to Area Agency on Aging 1B so they can work with their partner organizations in our county to make sure that people who are in need of food and nutrition have access and can receive meals. So it's really important to encourage them to contact Area Agency on Aging 1B and or their local senior centers.
Cool. Okay, seeing no other liaison reports. Special orders of business. We have a supplemental. Would somebody like to move the special order of business, which is a resolution setting a public hearing to receive comment on the Washtenaw Urban County 2019-2020 Annual Action Plan for Wednesday, April 22nd, 2020 at 6:45 p.m.
So moved.
Moved by Commissioner Scott and supported by Commissioner Schenk, I think. Great. Are there any questions on this? Okay, Edwin, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Beaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Braybeck,
Yes.
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Machieski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk.
Yes.
Item passed.
Great, thank you. Next up, we have appointments. There are two here before somebody makes a motion. I'll read the names. I'm recommending the appointment of Barbara Hickman for the primary consumer, Susie Antonow for a general public spot, her reappointment, and Doug Strong for the other public position. The members of the 2020 Remonumentation Peer Review Committee, those are in the resolution or in the cover letter there from the Water Resources Commissioner. So I don't need to read those names in. Would somebody like to move the appointments?
I'll move those appointments.
Support.
Moved and supported. Are there questions or comments on these appointments? Commissioner LeBar.
Chair, I've just forgotten, when is Commissioner Jefferson up for reappointment to the CMH board?
That's a good question. I don't know offhand.
Okay, then for lack of better timing, I just wanted to take this time, since we're making CMH board appointments, to say to Commissioner Jefferson that I very much appreciate the service he's given this year on the CMH board. And I offer him a sincere apology for voting against that appointment last year. I did that in the heat of my own frustration with the process, and certainly came up short as a colleague and a commissioner. Commissioner Jefferson was kind enough to do any number of things as a CMH board member this year, but I really appreciate how he served and the commitment he's shown to it. And so, Commissioner Jefferson, Ricky, you have both my apology and admiration, and I look forward to you continuing to serve on the CMH board. Thanks, Chair.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson, did you have a?
Yes. In light of what Commissioner LeBar has said, apology accepted. And one of the things that I live by is having the courage to admit a mistake. And I consider that one that was in the heat of the moment. A lot of things were going on with all of us and how we felt about CMH and some of the things that were going on and some of the people who were there. And so we had some differences, and I'm sure that's what kind of initiated the vote for no. But the thing is I'm definitely accepting your apology wholeheartedly. And I appreciate you doing that publicly, because that was done publicly. And one of the things that I believe I'm supposed to be reappointed at the next year. I believe my appointment stops in December. So again, thank you for that apology. And you have shown me that the things that are important to you are more so than anything else is making sure we develop a good relationship on this board. Thank you.
Great, thank you. And I think Ricky is actually filling one of the commissioner appointment spots. Commissioner Scott is appointed just as a flat out appointment. So I think that
I'm a secondary consumer.
yes, so Commissioner Brayback and Commissioner Jefferson are appointed with the rest of our board appointments now. So whenever we appoint ourselves to, the chair at the beginning of each term appoints people to the committees. Oh, Andrew DeLu.
Hey, good evening, commissioners. I can just add some detail to that. Commissioner Jefferson is in one of the BOC liaison seats, and his term expires on March 31st of 2023.
Got it. I have more questions, but I'll ask them later about the 2023. But so did somebody move the? Apologies, everybody. Did somebody remove or move the appointments?
No, but I will. Did somebody move them? Michelle, you're nodding your head. I did it. Okay.
Yeah.
Commissioner Scott, seconded by Commissioner Jefferson.
Okay.
Got it. We got so into discussion here. So they've been moved and seconded. Are there any other comments on the appointments? If not, then Edwin, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Brayback,
Yes.
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner LeBar,
Yes.
Commissioner Maciejewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk,
Yes.
Commissioner Beaman.
Yes.
Items passed.
Great, thank you. So we now have the consent agenda. Would somebody like to move the consent agenda and the resolutions at once for efficiency's sake here? Commissioner LeBar, thank you very much.
Okay, moving the consent agenda, and then, sorry, folks, I'm reading this from a screen, so it's a little harder than normal. Under item 4, resolutions, under Ways and Means, the renewal on the $500,000 for roads. B, the 50,000 grant for OCED. That's Ways and Means the 18th of March. Ways and Means for the 8th of April is the resolution on the 3.2 for COVID response. And then under Board of Commissioners, we have a resolution proclaiming the week of April 12th, 2020 through April 18th as National Public Safety Telecommuter Week in Washtenaw County, and approval of claims.
Great, thank you. Are there any items anyone would like to pull for separate consideration? Okay, if not, then we'll just go through them. Any questions on the consent agenda? Okay, Michelle Billard.
Is there a second?
Yeah, I'll second that. Support.
Great, thank you. This is why we have her. Thank you very much, Commissioner Scott. So so there are no questions on the consent agenda, but this has been seconded. Any questions on the renewal of the road millage? Okay. Any questions or comments on the OCD grant? Any questions or comments on the 3.2 million from the county general fund surplus? Any questions or comments on National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week? Any questions on the approval of claims? Okay, any overall questions, comments, concerns on any of these items? Okay, with that then, for efficiency's sake, we're very efficient here. Edwin, could you call the roll, please?
Commissioner Jamnick,
Yes.
Commissioner Jefferson,
Yes.
Commissioner Labar,
Yes.
Commissioner Machewski,
Yes.
Commissioner Morgan,
Yes.
Commissioner Scott,
Yes.
Commissioner Schenk,
Yes.
Commissioner Beaman,
Yes.
Commissioner Braybeck.
Yes.
Resolution's passed.
Great, thank you. Report of the county administrator.
No report.
Great report of the chair. Just another huge thank you to Greg and Jimena and Teresa and everybody who's working incredibly hard. Everybody's working around the clock. I've been trying to give them some time on the weekends where I don't pester folks unless there's an emergency. Sometimes that works, Greg, sometimes it doesn't. But you guys are working incredibly hard. I know I'm on calls with other counties throughout the day for my day job. And I know that people have been talking about how Washtenaw County is doing an amazing job. And that is a testament to our incredible staff and our county admin leadership and everybody here working very, very well together. So thank you all very, very, very much. Are there any items for current or future discussion? Commissioner Labar.
One quick thing, Chair. I just want to also thank Sheriff Clayton, Mental Health Director Trish Cortez, obviously Jimena Lovelock in her office, Susan in particular, and Teresa and the folks over at the shelter in moving the population that is tested or suspected tested positive for COVID over to the Red Roof Inn. I think they've done a great service. That's in my commission district. And I just want to thank staff because there was a member of Ann Arbor City Council that, in my opinion, was asking a volume and a specificity of questions that were not necessarily as useful given a literal pandemic as they might have been during any other time. And the staff was fantastic in responding to that. So I just wanted to thank them publicly.
Thank you. Commissioner Jefferson?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. I just wanted to say we have quite a few employees of University of Michigan and St. Joe that are riding transportation, public transportation to their jobs every day. I just wanted us to remember them because they also, along with the medical professionals, nurses and doctors, they also are putting themselves in jeopardy for this, but they continue to go. I'm grateful to be in a county where we all have come together on this to do what we can, as we said, for the homeless, for those who need shelter when they can't find it. And so we can find ways to separate them and keep them all from being infected. And also the way that the entire county all departments have come together to see about each other, but also about the members of our community. I want to commend them for that, because that's a hard job to do. We have to put our feelings, emotions aside. Sometimes our families have to be sacrificed for time and emotional stability. And this is a time where hopefully we all can come through this with some sort of new found gratitude for where we live in Washtenaw County that would knit us together even closer. So thanks to all those. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other items for current or future discussion? Commissioner Maciejewski?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to note that I had talked to nearly all of my township supervisors today, and every single one of them mentioned the work that had been done by the county, how pleased they are with the work that's been done by the county Administrator Bill and all the departments. They were very appreciative of everything that the county is.
Oh, you muted yourself, Jason.
Sorry. I also wanted to note OCED and their work. I heard from both the senior centers in my district today about how supportive of the meals programs and the changes that have gone on. And finally, I want to thank and recognize Commissioner Scott for everything that she has been doing with her day job. It has got to be incredibly stressful and so impactful on a human level for what you are doing every day. And you are in the prayers of my family every day. And we look forward to a time when this is over and we can all sit down and talk again and not have to deal with this. So Katie, thank you very much for everything you are doing.
Thank you all. Any other items for current or future discussion?
Yes.
Freeman, are you going to make us cry like Commissioner Maciejewski is?
Maybe. Maybe. It is actually sad news. I just wanted to let the board know that Dennis Dolan, who is vice chair of the Southeast Michigan Consortium for Michigan Works, he passed away on April 1st. And so he was a great man. He's been serving as commissioner, I believe, since 2003. He's from Hamburg, and he was an amazing person on the board. I really enjoyed working with him and learning from him, and it's a great loss. So I wanted to let everyone know and honor him a little bit.
Thank you. Any other items for current or future discussion? Okay.
Sue has her hand up.
Oh, who, Sue? Oh, sorry.
Yes.
Thank you, Chair. I want to thank everybody at the county who has been responding to my, I don't know how they compare to other people's, but probably numerous requests for very specific help for organizations and even at times individuals so that they can face this crisis with the proper armor. A lot of it has to do with masks and sanitizer. So thank you. And then I wanted also to say thank you to Katie Scott. You have illuminated me, my understanding of what's going on and the seriousness. When I'm at home, I don't see everything that's happening out there. And so the things that you have shared with us have been extremely helpful in understanding just what is being faced by the healthcare community. It's helped me to respond better. And then on a personal level, I appreciate the incredible courage that you are showing and the incredible leadership that you are showing in so many ways throughout this crisis. So thank you.
Just one last thing, man. Can I?
Yeah.
Thank you, Chair. I have to acknowledge the passing, not from COVID, but just from illness, of a great minister in this Eastern County for the county, Victoria Swanson James. She was one of my predecessors, one of my mentors. Her family also extends the love that she gave to them to the community. They all are wonderful people that work in the community. She has what I would call a heart for the community, just as much as she had for her family and for her church. She not only put time and money in it, she also worked in the school districts in Ypsilanti and Ann Arbor. She did a lot of work at Hope Clinic and a couple of other crucial events that she would always be the person that would go to for leadership. So I just wanted to extend my condolences to that family. Thank you. I made it through.
Any other items for current or future discussion? Okay. Oh, one other last thing. Greg and I have been having a lot of conversations. We've been impatiently waiting on the governor's office to determine the next date for the stay-at-home order extension. We obviously expect it will be extended beyond the 13th, but I think they will announce tomorrow afternoon from what I'm just hearing by rumor. So hopefully we will know, we need to know by tomorrow what that next date is. So we're working through that to determine. I think the goal is to pair our stay at home for the county with the states, of course. So so we'll keep everybody posted on that. With that, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. All in favor, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, we are adjourned. Thank you, everybody.
Careful, be safe.
Thanks,
everyone.
IT staff.
Stay at home.
It was very nice to see all of you.
I agree. Bye, bye, friends.
Bye.
Bye.